It's the middle of the night. Silence blankets the home, except for a sudden, chilling knock. A little girl stirs. 9 years old. Barefoot. Heart pounding. She slips from under her blanket, quiet as a shadow. She doesn't want to wake her mom. Her sisters are fast asleep. The knock comes again, louder this time. She walks toward the door, small feet on cold floor. And then, she opens it. There's a pause. No scream. No struggle. Just the sound of the wind. And then, she's gone. Vanished without a trace. No witnesses. No answers. Only silence, and questions that still haunt a broken family. Before the nightmare, there was love. Before the silence, there was laughter. Before the knock, there was Anthonette. She was only 9, but her soul felt older. Born Anthonette Christine Cayedito, she was the kind of child who hugged tight, smiled wide, and carried a light that warmed everyone near her. Half Navajo. Half Italian. All heart. She loved singing in church. Her voice? Soft, but steady. She'd sing as she helped her mother fold laundry, or while combing her younger sister's hair before school. She was the kind of big sister who never let them walk alone, who gave up her own treats just to see them smile. She was thoughtful, careful, observant. Anthonette wasn't just a child, she was her mother's right hand. Her name meant grace, and she carried it. The Cayedito home in Gallup, New Mexico, wasn't much, a small, modest house on a quiet street. But it echoed with warmth. You'd hear giggles in the hallway. Smell beans simmering in the kitchen. See worn carpets, but clean ones. It was a place where love was loud, even if money was short. Her mother, Penny, was strong. She had to be. Raising 3 girls alone after leaving a troubled marriage. She worked long hours, sometimes multiple jobs. No child support. No safety net. Just grit and prayers. Still, she showed up. Every school concert. Every scraped knee. Every bedtime story read through tired eyes. Gallup was a small town, wrapped in desert mesas and wind-worn hills. A place where people knew each other's names, and each other's secrets. By day, it was still and sunlit. By night, quiet, almost too quiet. And that night, the one with the knock, it was just another Friday. Pizza on paper plates. The sisters giggling about cartoons. Penny exhausted, falling asleep early. No one had any idea that this would be the last time they ever saw Anthonette alive. Because even in towns like Gallup, where the sunsets are beautiful, darkness still finds a way in. How can someone just vanish into the night without a trace? And how does a family survive a question that never gets answered? If you're still watching, don't go anywhere. Because what happened next will shake you. And maybe, just maybe, make you question what you think you know about justice. Subscribe now, because this story is just getting started. April 6, 1986. A Saturday fading quietly into Sunday. There was no warning. No strange dreams. No signs. Just a home full of children, and a mother too exhausted to know the storm was already at the door. Penny Cayedito had finally fallen asleep. She'd worked long hours that week. Bills piling up. Kids to feed. She barely remembered her head hitting the pillow. In the next room, the girls had curled up on the couch after watching TV. Blankets tangled around their small legs. Laughter fading into the low hum of a late-night cartoon. Then, a knock. Sharp. Loud. 3 times. It was 3 a.m. The living room was still dark. No lights on. No footsteps. Just the slow, eerie tick of the wall clock. "Who's there?" Wendy, Anthonette's younger sister, stirred but didn't move. Then she heard it. A man's voice from outside. "It's Uncle Joe." That name meant safety. Familiar. Family. So Anthonette got up. She was brave like that. Always the protector. Always the one to make sure things were okay. She padded barefoot to the door. Reached up. Unlocked it. And when the door opened, it wasn't Uncle Joe. 2 men stood in the dark. And then, a scream. Short. Muffled. Then, silence. No one else heard it. Not Penny. Not the neighbors. Just Wendy, half asleep, too young to understand. By morning, Penny woke to sunlight streaming through the windows. The living room was quiet. Too quiet. She called out. No answer. She rushed through the house. Anthonette's blanket lay on the couch, folded neatly. Her shoes were still by the door. But the girl who never left without saying goodbye was gone. Panic set in. First, she called out in the neighborhood. Then she drove the nearby streets, scanning sidewalks, knocking on doors. And when she finally called the police, hours had passed. Hours they would never get back. The police were slow to respond. At first, they assumed she ran away. A typical case. A tired file. But Anthonette wasn't the kind of girl who ran from her mother. She wasn't the kind of child who disappeared without a reason. Still, the delay meant everything. The trail went cold. No fingerprints. No clues. And worse, no urgency. And in a town like Gallup, where time is already slow, that lost time was a death sentence. What do you do when the people who are supposed to help you don't? How many missing children are lost in that space between wait and see and too late? If you're feeling the weight of this, hit that subscribe button. Because what you're about to hear next, it only gets darker. And the truth may be more twisted than anyone expected. Time is cruel when you're waiting. Days bled into weeks. Weeks into months. And still, nothing. The town of Gallup, once still and sleepy, now pulsed with suspicion. Everyone had a theory. Everyone whispered. But none of the whispers brought Anthonette back. The missing posters began to yellow at the edges. The news vans packed up. Even the police began to move on. But Penny Cayedito, she never stopped. Every single night, she stayed by the phone. Praying. Hoping. That maybe, just maybe, her little girl would find a way back. And then, 1 year later, a phone rings. It was 911. The operator answered, and on the other end, a young girl's voice. Frantic. Terrified. She whispered, "I'm Anthonette Cayedito. I'm in Albuquerque, help me." There was no time to react. In the background, a man's voice. Angry. Demanding. "Who said you could use the phone?" Then, a scream. Sharp. Heart-wrenching. And then, nothing. The line went dead. The call was traced, but too late. No location. No follow-up. Gone. Like smoke. And once again, Penny's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. Because that voice, it was her daughter's. She knew it. But the world didn't listen. Weeks later, another sighting. This time, a waitress. Somewhere in a New Mexico diner. She says a girl matching Anthonette's description came in with a man. The child never made eye contact. She looked scared. Dirty. And just as the waitress turned away, she noticed the girl trying to slip something under a plate. A note. Begging for help. By the time the waitress returned, they were gone. No car description. No surveillance. Just a plate, an empty seat, and a story nobody could prove. Can you imagine the horror? Being just a few feet from escape. Only to be swallowed back into the shadows? Each lead became another ghost. Something that might have been real. Something that could have saved her. But never did. How many times do children cry out, only to be unheard? How often do the cries of the missing go ignored because we think they're just stories? Anthonette wasn't a story. She was real. And she was still out there, somewhere. If you're still with us, hit that subscribe button. Because what comes next only deepens the mystery. And raises chilling questions about who knew what all along. How long can a mother hold on to hope, when the world offers nothing but silence? Penny Cayedito never stopped looking. Long after the cameras vanished, long after the headlines faded. She held on to a single belief: her daughter was out there. Alive. Taken. But not gone. She lit candles. She prayed. She stood at the window, waiting. Every knock on the door made her heart race. Every phone call could be the one. But the knock never came. And the call never rang. Years passed. Wrinkles carved themselves into her face. Grief aged her faster than time ever could. And then, one day, her heart stopped. She died the way no mother should, with questions still bleeding from her chest. Her last breath carried a name: Anthonette. She left this world not knowing where her baby was. Not knowing why. Not knowing who. And not knowing how much of it could have been prevented. Because behind the heartbreak, there were whispers. Some said the police acted too slow. That the early hours, the most vital hours, were wasted. That Penny's warnings were brushed off. And that no Amber Alert ever sounded, because back then, there was no system for that. Just trust, in a system that failed her. Others pointed fingers closer to home. The name Uncle Joe haunts every corner of this story. But no one ever found him. No one could confirm if he even existed. Some thought it was a nickname. Others believed it was a lie used by the men at the door. Theories drifted into darker places: trafficking, organized abduction, a sale. Was it random? Or orchestrated? Did someone know Penny's routine? Did someone inside the circle open the door, literally or metaphorically? The questions outlived the woman asking them. And what about Wendy? She was just a child when she saw her big sister rise in the dark. Open that door. And vanish. Today, Wendy is an adult. But she never forgot that night. The guilt. The helplessness. The sound of footsteps, and then, silence. She carries a wound that time can't stitch. And a truth that no child should bear. Sometimes, monsters don't hide under the bed. They knock on the door. What would you do if your sister walked into the dark, and never walked back out? How long would you search? And what happens, when you're the only one left still asking why? Because justice didn't come for Penny. And peace still hasn't come for Wendy. And Anthonette, she remains a face in a file. But she was more than that. She was a little girl who loved to sing at church. A big sister who helped with homework. A daughter who deserved to come home. So, before you scroll, before you forget her name, say it out loud. Anthonette Cayedito. She deserves to be remembered. If you believe her story still matters, subscribe to this channel. Because more people need to hear what happened. More people need to care. And maybe, just maybe, that could change everything. Gallup, New Mexico, is quiet again. But behind that silence, behind the hum of streetlights, the creak of screen doors, the rustle of wind across desert mesas, her name still echoes. Anthonette Cayedito. Her face, frozen in time, stares back from missing person posters still taped to store windows, still tucked inside binders, still burned into the hearts of those who remember. The years keep moving. Technology changes. But justice hasn't arrived. And truth hasn't spoken. Still, her story refuses to fade. There are candlelight vigils every April. Murals painted with her smile. Old classmates who now have children of their own, who tell them not to answer the door after dark. Because in Gallup, every knock still feels like a warning. And every unanswered question still burns. Was it someone she knew? Was she calling out from the phone that night, hoping the world would hear her one last time? Is she still out there, somewhere? Or has the truth been buried beneath decades of silence? This is more than a cold case. This is a stolen childhood. A family shattered. A town marked forever. And it doesn't end here. It can't. Because someone knows something. Maybe a neighbor. Maybe a friend. Maybe you. Maybe all it takes is one whisper. One memory. One name. One truth. If you know anything, anything at all, speak. Don't let Anthonette's story drift quietly into the dark. Don't let this little girl become just another file in a forgotten drawer. She was more than a case number. She was someone's everything. And she still is. So if you've made it this far, don't let it stop here. Share her story. Say her name. And if you know something, even a whisper, say something. Let her story end in truth, not silence. If you have any information, please contact the FBI or Gallup Police Department. Her family still waits.